everyone, my name is Lauren and I'm the Propagation Manager here at the ECHO North America Impact Center. And today I'm going to be sharing some propagation basics with you. So we'll be going over what division is and then how to graft. So next I want to talk about grafting, and grafting is a practice that farmers have been using for centuries to ensure that their arboretums, their trees are productive and doing well, and they're able to adapt to market changes. So grafting is the practice of having a root stock or a root system, a tree that we will then be taking budwood or a scion from another tree and grafting on top of that rootstock. So why would a farmer want to do that? Well, I'll give the example of here in Florida, we love mangoes, and this climate, this tropical area that we live in is great for mangoes. However, lots of the mangoes around the world really struggle in our sandy soils. There is, however, a mango called turpentine that really does well in our climate and our soil. But the fruit of the turpentine mango isn't maybe the best tasting fruit ever. So we use turpentine as our base tree or as our root stock. Anytime we graft, we will germinate a bunch of mango, turpentine variety seeds. We'll grow those up, but then we graft other varieties on top of that turpentine mango. So then the fruit is different than the rootstock. We have that turpentine rootstock that is well adapted to our soils, and then we graft on top of it a different variety where we like the taste of the fruit. So when you graft, you are able to take like the best of both varieties, the best of both worlds, the rootstock that is disease resistant or has other dwarfing characteristics perhaps that we want to have in an established tree. And then we put on top of it something that has delicious fruit or other characteristics. So when you graft, you are taking two different varieties of trees or two different characteristics that we want, and we are combining them into one tree. So some vocabulary we should know is that this bottom part of the plant is called the rootstock. This area right here is called the graft union. You can see that this type of graft is called a cleft, and that's what I'm going to be demonstrating today. And then what's growing from the graft union was our budwood from the other tree, or the scion, we say. And so this is what's going to be growing and establishing and giving us fruit in coming years. Well, I'm here in the greenhouse and I'm going to demonstrate how we graft a jackfruit. So I have all my supplies here. I've got my seedling rootstock. This is our jackfruit seedling. It is an unnamed variety of jackfruit. So here is our budwood, and if you've ever walked up to a jackfruit tree, this is what it'll look like there on the tree. So I took a clipping, or we call it budwood, from the tree and clipped them down to this size. So what you can see here is leaves that I left on, but I cut them in half, and we'll talk about that more in a minute. But then you can see the bud right here, and this is the jackfruit bud that we will be grafting onto our rootstock. So the tools that we're going to need to graft today are our X-Acto knife, and there's lots of different knives that people will use to graft. Here in the tropics, we are using very soft wood plants, so we don't need some of the pocket knives that you might see people using up north. Those are great options, but I've found with my supple jackfruit tropical plants, it can be easiest just to use a little X-Acto knife like this. We will need our tags and pencils to make sure that we are labeling our grafts so we know what variety we have grafted onto our seedling. And then lastly, we're going to need a rubber band, and we'll talk about more about why this is essential and what it'll look like when we're doing our grafts. I chose this orange crisp budwood from a well-established orange crisp tree that we have here on the farm. So I know that this budwood variety is orange crisp from that established tree that's giving us good fruit. And because this will be a clonal propagation, when I take this orange crisp bud, graft it onto my rootstock, I know that the tree that will be growing from this graft will be an orange crisp. So the first step here is to match up the diameter of my budwood and my rootstock. So I'm noticing that the diameter here of my budwood is a little skinny, so I am going to graft my tree right here, that graft union. I'm going to choose this placement because the diameter of my budwood is most similar to the diameter of my rootstock in this location. So the next step is for me to make my cleft graft here on my budwood. So again, I have my established bud right here. This is what will grow after that graft union takes. But this is how we will do a cleft graft cut on our budwood. So you can see I have created a V cut on my budwood. So what you see here with this cut is I have exposed the phloem, the cambium layer, and the xylem on my stem. This cut has exposed what's inside the stem, and when I combine this cut with the cut that I'm going to make on my rootstock, there's the chance for the cambium layer of this budwood and the cambium layer of my rootstock to join, and that is what creates a successful graft. So you can see I've created this cleft cut on my budwood, and now I'm going to mirror that cut on my rootstock to create a little V that this cleft can slide into. So to ensure that it's the right length, I will hold my rootstock up against it and see the depth with which I need to make that cut. I am now going to hold my rootstock to carefully make this cut and see how easily it slides through just with this X-Acto knife. That's exactly what we're looking for. So now I will slide my piece of budwood in. I need to make sure that the entire cut is covered, and that is the union that we're looking for. To ensure that there's a complete union, a flush union of the cambium layer of my rootstock and the cambium layer of my budwood, I have wrapped a rubber band very tightly around this union. And so this rubber band ensures that there is flush contact of both the budwood and the rootstock. We're here in the shade house where we store our grafts before they're ready to be potted up. So you can see that we will cover our grafts with a bag, and this bag creates a little greenhouse effect around the graft. So when I take off this bag, you can see this is a sapodilla, and you can graft all different types of trees. It's not just jackfruit, it's not just sapodilla or mango, but folks up north in temperate climates are grafting tomatoes and cherries, and here in the tropics, we are grafting all different types of trees. But you can see that this is a successful graft. The rubber band is naturally starting to loosen a little bit. You can see these new leaves are pushing through, and so the grafts that are around me, you can see we've kept the bags on them to ensure that they have a protected environment, and then when they're ready, they're going to start pushing those new leaves. So I'm standing here with our successful grafts. So you can see that these to my right are avocados. So we have these grafts, they have successfully taken and now they're growing up. We've stepped them up into a 3-gallon pot. And I'm going to show you guys some of those graft unions that you can still observe here in the 3-gallon pot. So we're looking at a Simmons avocado graft, and that Simmons variety we know is the grafted budwood that we placed on top of our rootstock. So you can see how this graft has now grown up, and this is a full entire plant that is ready to be planted out in somebody's field, in somebody's yard, whatever the needs are. Now I want to demonstrate how you can divide plants, and that's going to be a great option for anything that has some of those rhizomes or root masses like grasses. So some examples of plants that farmers will divide are bamboo or vetiver grass or Napier grass. You'll also see them doing it with a lot of root crops like gall and gall, ginger, turmeric, arrowroot, taro. Those are all different types of plants that you will divide. Another plant that we divide is lemongrass, or in this case, society garlic. So I'm going to demonstrate how we divide our plants, and another way to think about that is rapid multiplication. So you are taking this plant, and if it's established, you could get 4, 5, 6 plants just from dividing one root zone. So here I have my 1-gallon pot of society garlic, and so in order to divide this, I am going to gently kind of get this plant out of its pot. I will lift it out of its pot, and you can see its roots. It's established here, and look at how society garlic just can easily divide into 2 different clumps. So that is what we're going to do with this example of division. I'm going to take my clippers and just gently kind of get these roots into 2 different sides. You will see farmers using machetes to do this quite frequently, but because this is a smaller plant, I'll be a little more gentle with my hands. So as you can see, now I have 2 different plants. I have divided this 1 clump into 2. They have their own root masses. You can see right there that they are established and they will do just fine on their own. So then I will take this root. I'm going to actually clip off the bottommost roots, and then I will repot it into a new pot. So here I'm taking my potting mix and really pressing this down to make sure that it is established in this new pot. I always want to make sure that if I am potting something up, that I fill it all the way to the top, all the way to the rim, especially here in the tropics where we have lots of rain events. If I am potting something up and I leave some gaps on the rim, that is just a space for water to hold, water to just, waterlog this pot. So if I'm able to really compact the soil and then also fill it up all the way to the rim, I'm making sure that when a rain event comes, I am really protecting this plant as much as possible. Now, note that if you're living somewhere with very clay soil or very waterlogging soil, you might use a different practice. But here in Florida, we have very sandy soils. So I am going to be using this chunky mix and putting the soil all the way to the top of my pot. Well, I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about some of the propagation basics that we use here at ECHO. If you have any questions or you want to learn more about what we do, feel free to check us out on our website at echocommunity.org. Thanks so much for joining us today.